Fimone Rami has spent decades telling the stories of others. Now in a new book, he's telling his own and the story of Chicago. The book is called When Blackness Was Golden. I love the name of this book. When Blackness Was Golden. It's not golden anymore?
It's not as golden as it was.
Huh.
And when someone asked me about why I selected that topic, is because during the 60s, between the 60s and the 1980s, it was a period in which we were rediscovering ourselves. If you think about the 1950s, Emmett Till was killed, black people had no ability to be able to represent themselves. There were numerous people that were lynched during that period of time. And then by the end of the 60s, we had rediscovered ourselves. We had gone into wearing African clothes. We had embraced each other as brothers and sisters.
And Black Power was where it was at.
Black Power was where it was at. And organizations began to sprout up to protect their own interests. So the African American Patrolmen's League, the Association of Black Psychologists, the Black Sociologists, the Black Nursing Societies, all of these people came together to make a better way for the community in which they served. What has happened since then is that we began to sprout out and work in a number of different areas, a number of different communities, and our communities have suffered because of the lack of representation of those people that we could be proud of.
So that was somewhat of another renaissance, you think?
It was definitely a black renaissance. You have a period where the first African American museum, the DuSable, was created.
Where you worked?
Where I worked as the Director of Education and Public Programs. The oldest African American art center, the Southside Community Art Center, which is now 82 years old. The first black hospital in Providence. The first black nursing home. The Negro League facility that was at 39th and King Drive. All of the Savoy, the High Chaparral.
The Regal Theater.
The Lisa, all of these things happened in our community, aside from businesses, and it was a great period.
Yeah, so we've gotten away from that because you think maybe we've started to diversify and become a part of a more white world?
I think that was part of it, and I also think that drugs had a great deal to do with it. The destruction of family, because, like for example, I grew up in Stanway Gardens during a period where it was beautiful, where there were families there, where there were fathers and mothers, and we were accountable, we were held accountable. But then there came a period where the housing authority changed the rules, and you had to be a single parent, in essence, to live there. And that's where the gangs began to take over. And so I love Chicago. But our ability to grow has to do with our ability to re-strengthen our communities and the communities in which we find ourselves.
In 1968, you even, you spearheaded or were involved in a boycott of the Chicago Public Schools, right?
Yes, that's correct. We led a boycott of 35,000 young people out of school. And the purpose of that was to allow black history to be taught in the schools. Owen Lawson worked at Inglewood High School, and he was the first teacher that was fired for teaching black history. And so the movement began there. But we also had the opportunity to meet with the Board of Education, and part of the reason why things did change is because we got them to include black businesses, we got the curriculum changed, we got black administrators hired, and even the press. There was no press in terms of black people working until that period.
Yeah, they started bringing more black people in to be able to go into these places and cover it, because otherwise the white folks couldn't get in there.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And so Lou Palmer, Vernon Jordan, a lot of those people.
Bob Jordan, here at WGN.
A lot of them came about as a result of us demanding that we had representation not only in our communities, but in the media as well.
You wanted to be inclusive.
You want to be inclusive, and at the same time, you want to be motivated. The only way that we can end violence, in my estimation, is that if people have a value for life. Value for life comes about as a result of an understanding of what you can be and the future which is in front of you. And so what happened with the media, people like yourselves gave young people the motivation to be able to believe that if they can see it, then they can also be it.
You, at one point, decided to kind of branch out into the movie industry to a certain extent. How did that come about?
Sam Greenlee called me one day and said, I have a part for you in a movie that I'm writing called Who Said About Doing, I'd like for you to do it. And so I said, oh, okay, fine. And he said, but I also like for you to help us to cast some people. I didn't know what casting meant at that time, but I knew a lot of actors. So he was able to get me to do that. When I finished the film, came back to Chicago, I was asked to be an extra on a film. And I said, extra? I just did a lead role in a film. But I agreed to do it, and it was a movie with Isaac Hayes. And as Isaac Hayes walked by me on the street, he asked, did he know me? And we started talking. We were both Leos, born in August. But he had seen an advanced screening of Spook Who Sat by the Door. When Isaac left, a few months later, I got a call to do Cooley High and Mahogany, and I was suggested by Isaac Hayes. So it came about because of Sam Greenlee.
And you've done so many movies since then. Why decide to write the memoir now? With all the other things that you've done, why now for the memoir?
There comes a time in your life where you realize that your ability to create begins to wane. And it wanes naturally, because that's what age does. And we have all these young people that are coming up behind us. In many ways, I'm a conduit, from Cab Calloway to J. Mal Green and Chance the Rapper, because all of them worked with me at one point. And I realized that if I didn't tell the story, it wouldn't be told. And it was important that young people realize that what you're going through today might be some shades of different, but it's the same thing that we went through. And what I want people to realize after they read the book is that they have the capacity to tell their own story. It is necessary for us to document our story, to tell it, and to put it in a place where our children and our great-grandchildren will be able to look at it one day and be proud of us.
What is the future of our children right now with all the violence in the city that you love so much, that you and I both love so much?
You know, every time I go to a location and I see young persons speak, whenever I see the creativity that's coming out of the theater with young people, whenever I see the marchers in the street and the people that are standing up, I realize that we are not lost. There is a generation that is coming behind us, and the only thing that they missed that we had was we had more access to media. Part of what we have to correct is the fact that we don't know a lot of the good things that we're doing because a lot of them are not covered. But we have an enormous amount of young people that are doing incredible work. And it is looking in their eyes that I know that I did not waste my time.
Thank you so much. The book is called When Blackness Was Golden, and it's got to become golden again.
It does.